Good morning, Tri-States. It is 6 a.m. and 55 on what's going to be the warmest day of the week. A really nice day.
Dick McGrain is the face and voice of Super Hits 106. There's absolutely no doubt about it. McGrain in the Morning is more than just a morning drive guy. He's committed time to many community organizations in the Tri-States, including the Dubuque Rescue Mission.
Well, I'm Rick Mem. I'm the director of the Dubuque Rescue Mission. This is my 15th year as the executive director. And the Dubuque Rescue Mission has been here since 1932 within this one block area. So for, 88 years, we have been serving the poor, the hungry, the homeless in the Dubuque and tri-state area. And it's all just faith-based. We don't get federal or state funds. It's all people who just are doing good things. They believe in helping their brother and sister who are struggling. So that's where we get our funds from. And it isn't that much. As Dick can tell you, we are on a shoestring budget. And Herb, if you look around, you can see why. You know, the staff are, we have 20 staff, and almost exclusively, they are formerly homeless or recovering people. And the rescue mission gave them a second chance to get employment here. And they have been the most faithful and trustworthy employees we've had. They're just amazing. And so, but anyhow, we serve a breakfast, a lunch, and supper 365 days a year to anyone that's in need. And so that will be the men who live here. So there are 30 homeless men who live upstairs in our dormitory. Actually, they're single rooms that they have up there. And then we also have an additional 20 men who are in our transitional houses, which are 4 homes up in the north end of Dubuque that we built. And there are 5 guys in each of those homes, and there's a live-in staff person that's there with them who's been in recovery 8 years now. And so with all of them, there's 54 guys that we serve here. And but the meals are our biggest ministry, because that's about a little over 200 people a day. Women, children, elderly, homeless, the poor. And that's where Dick comes in, because he is here every week, 2 or 3 times at lunchtime. And he comes early because he loves to talk to the individuals that are waiting in the dining room to eat. And as you said, Herb, he is such an advocate. He is a huge advocate for those who are struggling, and especially the poor. And so whenever we have a need, and usually it's a food related thing. So like, we need beef, and 106.1 is a rural station, in especially much of Wisconsin there, Southwest Wisconsin. And so a farmer will call them and say, listen, I got a steer here. If they'll pay for the butchering costs, they can have it. And so those are the unique things about the rural people who are just, I live on a farm too. And so our neighbors, there's this ethic of you help one another. And if there's a need, regardless if you know them or not, we just pitch in. And so Dick is able to tap into that and often just share the personal stories, because he's been serving here, volunteering for so long. And so he can identify and share with your listeners stories of great compassion that he has seen and that he has served. And so just most recently was the Thanksgiving meal. So typically we don't do a Thanksgiving Day meal, meaning the main meal, because the Ginters is a family here in Dubuque that have for 50-something years put on a huge Thanksgiving meal for all the poor of Dubuque. I mean, it's up to 2,200 people. So they're not able to do it this year because of COVID. And so the mission and other agencies are taking that over. So what we typically serve a day, 200, we're going to be serving 500 people that day. And so Dick put that out and saying the mission needs, however you can help. And this couple sent a check for $500 for, hey, listen, go buy the turkeys. And that's covered it. So, he has the magic wand, so to speak, and he waves it, and our needs are provided for. Every time he makes a request, he gets it filled and then some. So, for example, like the to-go containers. We've never had this before because our meals have always been sit down. You take a tray, go through the line, you sit down and eat. Well, we can't do that because of the COVID stuff, except for we do have, and you can see in our dining room, there's 4 tables set up. They're at the ends, which make them 8 feet apart, and those are for elderly and handicapped who can't, so they eat their meals there. All the other able-bodied people take their meal out in to-go containers. And so we're always in need of those. So he's always, hey, I got, 600 to-go containers coming, or this or that, or he'll say, here's $50, Rick, a listener dropped it off. And so, yeah, it is these sorts of little measures each time, but all we got to do is ask. And he says that, just ask. I'll put it on the radio, and all we can do is ask. The men who come and stay here, if they aren't already working, they each have to be looking for a job, but many of them are on disability, so they can't work. But they're required to give a certain number of hours each week, which is about 15 to 20, in exchange for the room and board. So those men assigned to the kitchen are usually there each day, and those are the men that Dick gets closest to because he's mingling with them each time he comes down. And but Dick, knows many of the guests that come through, people for the free meal, by name. And, he says, hey, good morning, Frank. How you doing today? And, everyone knows him.
Dick, I can say two things about him. He's a big guy with a big voice. That's all he is, and big heart.
He's extremely generous. He gives lots of things to the people who come through that, he knows everybody by name, and he actually gives them things like coats and clothes and, tickets to things, and so, and he's very generous.
We have an older guy here who's in a trench coat, and he lives on the streets, but he stays in our hallway, and he's got all these suitcases. His name's Sam. And Dick is pretty close to Sammy. Sammy's been around a long time. Sammy, Bill Oglesby, some of these other characters that are here every day, pretty rough characters. And yeah, I think Dick has a special relationship with them just because their needs are so obvious. And so your heart and compassion is drawn to them because they're so beat up, sort of by life. So I think a few of those guys that are around most days, every day for the meals, he would have a deeper connection with. Yeah, and they'd be hard to talk to her because they're very paranoid about individuals coming in their space and things, but they know Dick enough now because he's been around so much, and he always talks to them that they have some rapport with him. But if a stranger came up, they wouldn't even look at you. They just pretend you weren't there. Not only does Dick advocate on our behalf, Dick gives personally. So he will, when I go back, usually during the lunch hours, or I usually check during each meal just to say hi to people. He'll do this. Hey, Rick, I got something for you. He'll go over to his cone and pull out, and he'll say, here, use it as you need it. It's a $50 bill or it's a $100 bill, and he just crinkles it up in his hand. And he shakes my hand and he gives it to me. So that's part of his humility and his anonymity that he doesn't want people to know. He doesn't do anything flashy. Even with that, he hides it so no one else knows that he's given money from his own personal means. So he does that regularly to me. The tools you all have at your disposal as a communications network is just so key, because when people hear that, people love to give when they know it's a personal need. It's not going to some big thing that their money just goes into a big pot. It's going specifically. I can tell everyone here on your station, I've said this before, that because of our thrift stores, that money that we raise in our thrift stores covers our salaries and our utilities and stuff, so that every dollar each person gives, 100% of that goes to serving those in need. And so that's a pretty powerful, I don't know if any agencies can say that's true about what they do. But We are, and we are a shoestring budget. I mean, we're serving over 60,000 people meals a year, serving over 20,000 men in that year, for about 700,000. And it's crazy. Yeah. And, agencies around town much smaller than us doing far smaller things. They have budgets of 1.5 million, and it just, because they have a lot of staff that are raising a lot of money. And I'm the guy. I'm it. And we have a newsletter that goes out 4 times a year, and that's it. We don't do advertising. We don't have money for these things. And I'm often getting called, hey, would you like to? No, don't have any money for that. We just do it these sorts of ways of people with good hearts doing the right thing. So,
The Dubuque Rescue Mission has served the community for 88 years, bringing hope to many who were without. Supporting this organization year-round, whenever a need arises, Mr. McGrain's contribution does not go unnoticed. He truly understands that it's not just about being a voice broadcasting to the community, but more importantly, it's about being a voice for the communities we serve. And this is what we do every day on Super Hits 106.